Hi everyone, thank you for joining us again to talk about brewing coffee at home. I have a very different approach to discuss with you today, which is a bit more pared back than you'll have seen in any of the other videos so far. There are no scales on the table, I'm not going to time anything. I wanted to sort of show how I would approach brewing a cup of coffee if I wanted to be very simplistic without some of the extra wares that make your life maybe more consistent and easy, but also a lot more clutter and a lot more equipment to have to keep on top of. So we're going to do a simple pour over. I've got my V60, I've got my mug, I've got some really nice coffee, and I've got a scoop, which for me makes it a lot easier to be consistent with a pretty simplistic bit of kit rather than a set of scales. Even this is not necessary, you can eyeball it for sure, but this isn't a hugely complex thing to master. Not too much of a barrier if you wanted to get into brewing coffee but didn't want to have to adopt the whole gotta have scales, gotta have timers, gotta have pouring kettles, all that malarkey. So that's about right for 1 cup. I know that this scale typically holds about 16 or 17 grams of coffee or so. I kind of have a little bit of experience traveling with it and getting really nice consistent results. My grinder, last time I brewed with this, it was for a single cup pour over, and it was set just about right using all of my extra bits and bobs like a pouring kettle and scales. But because I'm going to be pouring with this kettle today, which has a very wide lip, I'm going to have a little bit less control over the flow rate. It's probably going to go in a bit quicker. So I'm going to grind 2 steps finer. Doesn't mean too much, 2 steps, but I know that it's a little bit finer. It's going to offer me a little bit more resistance pouring through the bed of coffee, which kind of balances out the fact that this is a little bit more sloppy and fast. So let's grind our beans. And I'll get my water boiled whilst grinding. Done. So I've got my nice grind, a little bit finer than I would normally do for a single cup V60 to get a bit more resistance because of the kettle I'm going to be using. This is just boiled, so let's give our filter paper a rinse. Even though we're not weighing, we can still rinse the paper and heat the brewer a little bit. It's extra challenging doing this sitting down. So you'll notice as well, I've got a shamelessly self-promoting mug on the table from Workshop Coffee. I really like this mug because it's sort of a little bit translucent. It's made of tempered glass, so I can see where the level of the water is, where the level of the coffee is as I'm pouring, which is a helpful cheat. And I would recommend doing this into a glass jug or something if you wanted to portion it out for more than one person. And if you wanted to drink it from a glass, that's also fine, but I find it just takes forever to cool down, and without a handle that can be a little uncomfortable to drink from. So I'm going to use this, the best of both worlds. I was about to say 18 grams of coffee. 1 scoop of coffee go in, which is probably a bit less than 18 grams. So I've gone a little finer. I'm still going to pour in and try and bloom the coffee and get it evenly mixed, and giving it a little stir as well will really help. This is a lot less accurate than with a pouring kettle, but it's still completely fine. The water will be added a little bit faster, so I don't need to take so long doing it. And just make sure everything is evenly saturated. And something I've always recommended, let's say you were camping or unable to do all the extra checks you normally would when brewing a cup, it's better to err on the side of brewing a little bit too strong and aiming for higher extractions with a stronger cup, because if you do that, you can then always dilute the cup a little bit with some water, rather than accidentally add too much water or under extract, because then you can't really get it back on track. So also that's why the finer grind is going to help, and really hot water. So I'm just going to pour kind of however it comes out. It's very hard to control, as I said. And not add too much at a time. I'll keep the level relatively low as well, around halfway. I think when we spoke before about the single cup V60, I was saying half to 2/3 up or so is about where I'd be. I'm going to keep the level a little bit lower, so I'm just continually rinsing it with fresh water as I go. And it will be drawing down a little bit slower as well. It's mixing it a hell of a lot as well. Every time it sloshes in, it's a really turbulent pour, so the fine grind and that kind of pour is really going to help me extract quite a lot from the coffee as I go. And I can see I'm around here. I know roughly where this cup would normally be filled if I was doing a single cup pour over it as well, which is a little cheat. But again, it's a helpful way to eyeball when I'm there. So I'm brewing a coffee called Las Quebradas from Peru. We've done a couple of Peruvian filter coffees this year. This is from a community called El Diamante. The other one was El Lechero, which is a single farm coffee. It's been a really exciting year for us in Peru. We found a lot of really nice coffees from both the north and around Cusco region. So I'm hoping this coffee is going to have a little bit of lime-like characteristic and also a bit of black tea and a sort of sweet malt character too. Not malty in a sort of dry biscuit way, but more in the sort of sweet malt syrup richness, kind of like stroop waffles. It reminds me of that quite a lot. It's getting a little slow. Let's give it a little stir to help it go down now. So I've got about half of the cone still to drip through, which will take me to just about 2/3 of the cup, I suppose. It might be that that's the perfect amount of water for that amount of coffee and that this will be just delicious. So I'll give it a little stir and a taste and see if I want to dilute at all, if it's a little strong, or if it's okay as it is. Maybe I added a bit too much and it's a little on the thin and over-extracted side, but even so, it's not going to be terrible. It won't be too far off. Slow draw down. I didn't time, so I don't know exactly how long that took, but it seems about right. I might not be able to appreciate all of the flavours in the cup whilst it's this hot, but I can do a couple of things like check how intense it is, how strong it is, and things like how the finish is. It is a little on the bittersweet side. I feel like I maybe didn't have to go 2 clicks. I probably could have done 1 or left it on the same kind of grind size that I did before. But it is still quite chocolatey actually. More rich than I would have expected from the Las Quebradas. Maybe again that's the higher extraction at play. But in terms of a ratio of coffee to water, the strength feels about appropriate. I'm not going to add any more water. I was planning to for the video, but I don't think I really need to. Tastes about right. So yeah, you don't really need to have all of these extra bits and bobs to brew nice coffee if you're starting with great ingredients. They will make your life a lot easier when you want to do it consistently and really hone in on the sweet spot of each coffee. But if you're trying to travel light or pare back your kitchen setup, or you just aren't willing to take that plunge in expense right now, it's not necessary for you to brew really, really tasty cups of coffee. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon.